Hey guys, I just got done committing some murder, and I've kinda got addicted to crime as a result. Unfortunately, crime is very illegal and also very hard to get away with, so I've decided to start committing virtual atrocities instead of real ones. The GTA games were on sale a couple weeks ago, so I decided to make it my mission to play every game in the 3D saga. Well, the original 3D saga, that is. There were 3 games: GTA Vice City, GTA 3, and also GTA San Andreas. We won't be talking about San Andreas today, but someday I probably will make a video about it, so stay tuned for that. I was never allowed to play these games as a kid because my mom always said they were too edgy or inappropriate for children, and well, it actually turns out that she was right, and I probably shouldn't have been playing these games when I was a kid. And I didn't. But hey, that's not gonna stop me. I'm an adult now, Mom, and I can play whatever games I want. So here we go, GTA 3. So, a little backstory. Grand Theft Auto 1 and 2 were actually top-down games, which means that the camera always looked something like this. But GTA 3 was the first in this series to be made in modern 3D, and was considered a marvel for its time. Nothing like this had ever been done before. Open worlds where you can just straight up kill people and run away from the police in glorious 3D? It's all pretty standard for us in 2021, but 20 years ago, this was unprecedented. The game starts up by introducing your character, who's presumably been doing crime his entire life. His canonical name is Claude, but it may as well be Boring Brick because he never says a single word in the entire game, and he doesn't really seem to care one way or the other about his career in slaughtering innocents. He's robbing a bank with his girlfriend when he's suddenly betrayed by her.
You're just small time.
Boring Brick's life then takes a turn for the worse as he's carted off to prison, but then immediately takes a turn for the better when the bridge they're driving on explodes. Saved from a life bound in chains, Boring Brick is now free to terrorize the world in any way that he sees fit. This usually includes stealing cars, escorting this game's unrealistic depiction of women, and looking at this guy as he moves his lips. I really hate this guy's lips. Other than that, though, there's not a whole lot of story here. I mean, sure, some things happen, but it rarely seems like it actually progresses the plot, since our character has no stakes in this game whatsoever. Every character around us seems to have these weird or confusing goals and motivations, but it's hard to relate with them when Brick over here is so dense that it doesn't even seem like he knows what's going on. It just kind of feels like a lot of stuff happens, but none of it really matters, you know? Luckily, you probably won't be playing this game for much more than the first 3 missions, because it's not fun. Okay, let me explain. Grand Theft Auto 3 isn't bad for a 2001 game, except that it is, but not for the reason you might expect. Like I said earlier, Grand Theft Auto 3 is a technical marvel, and it might have changed gaming forever, but boy oh boy did it age worse than a glass full of unrefrigerated milk eggs. You see, the problem with GTA 3 is that it's a third-person shooter that came out before anybody had ever made a good third-person shooter. It's trying to be something that hasn't been invented yet, which is certainly brave, but it's atrocious to play when you know the alternatives. Resident Evil 4, which is generally considered the first good third-person shooter, came out in 2005. GTA 3 came out in 2001. I guess what I'm trying to say is that Grand Theft Auto 3 kinda sucks, but not because Rockstar didn't try. It only sucks because they were shooting in the dark 20 years ago. So even though playing GTA 3 is like eating a cake from before sugar was invented, it's not a bad game, just not a whole lot of fun to play in 2021. The one thing I will say about this game is that it serves as a really nice piece of gaming history. It's kinda here to show us what life would have been like without Resident Evil 4, and also, it helps us appreciate how great shooters of today actually are. But seriously, let's not play this game anymore, because it freaking sucks. Instead, let's move over to GTA Vice City, which is just a little bit better. Grand Theft Auto Vice City is pretty much Grand Theft Auto 3, but better. Not perfect, but better. There are still a lot of problems with gameplay, like you still can't exactly aim, and you can't exactly shake the cops, and your car still explodes when you flip it over, but they did add a lot of new stuff that tries to make up for these problems. They added a whole slew of new weapons, including knives, golf clubs, shotguns. You can also ride motorcycles. but maybe that's a little too dangerous. You can also change your outfit. It's nothing on the level of Barbie Horse Adventures, but it's a nice little touch that helps good old protagonist over here be more than a boring brick. Speaking of our protagonist, he actually has a voice and motivation in this game.
We need a lead from the streets.
You play as a young criminal named Tommy Vercetti, who's just gotten out of jail for presumably heinous crimes. He used to be stationed in Liberty City, which is the setting for GTA 3, but moves to Vice City in order to commit some more wrongdoing for his crime boss, Sonny Forelli.
Hello, Sonny.
Our first mission? Buy whatever's in this suitcase. But uh-oh, justice! The bane of any good criminal's existence. Fortunately for our morality, but unfortunately for our health, Tommy's deal is cut short by some no-good do-gooder who steals back both whatever it is we were buying, and also the money we used to buy it. Sonny Forelli calls us, and I think he's just a little mad about how we handled this situation.
That was my money, Tommy! My money!
But not to worry, Tommy's no fool and he'll keep his cool. To look for clues, Tommy makes his way to his lawyer friend's apartment, where he's told to visit a military colonel who's having a party down by the bay on his expensive yacht. This guy doesn't give us any useful information, but he does make us hang out with his daughter, who exploits our good character to drive us wherever she wants to go. We then listen to this amazing western jingle that plays every time we finish a mission. Since it seems that the colonel was a dead end, we head back to our lawyer friend and look for some more clues. After meeting up with a pervy superstar and committing some reckless driving, we come to the second best part in the game. Right behind that time sound was way slower than light. Beating up an innocent chef guy. Ha yeah, you like that, buddy? Yeah, how about you take some more chicken, yeah. Yeah, I can't stand the heat, you might want to get out of the kitchen, yeah, man. Yeah, you should have stayed in the kitchen, buddy, because now you're out here with me and I'll beat you to a pulp. You know, I don't think this game's gonna affect my real life behavior. Hey, who's this guy? His hair kinda reminds me of Will Smith. Wish I had that hair. Without introducing himself, Will Smith's hairdresser takes us to the gun shop, where we can buy guns. Not that we need them yet, since we actually found a gun just lying around. Actually, this is a really good point to bring up. A lot of the things that the game suggests you do, or that you assume the game is telling you to do, aren't always the most fun or even the best ways to play the game. Case in point, this Cowboys mission about assassinating some golfer dude. By the way the game is set up, you'd expect you're supposed to kill all his bodyguards first, and then chase him down in a golf cart. But playing the game this way is actually doing yourself a huge disservice and puts you at a real disadvantage. The more fun and easy way to do this mission is to get close to the golfer guy, push all the golf carts into the water except for the one with the bodyguard inside, then to steal that last golf cart and then ram your target over, sending him into the stratosphere. No joke, I played this mission for like 20 minutes just to find out the best way to beat it was with cheese. With that little tidbit in mind, I continue playing Vice City, driving around, flying RC helicopters with atrocious controls, shooting French people, ignoring enemies instead of shooting them, getting pwned by grandmas, and generally progressing the story until the game crashed.
Whoops.
Now, this game doesn't feature autosave, so hypothetically, if you played through a third of the entire game without saving, and then, hypothetically, the game crashed on you and you had to do it all over again, you'd understandably be pretty upset by it. Luckily, all of this is hypothetical, and it didn't happen to you. Anyway, back to the game's story that I definitely didn't have to do 3 hours of twice. Without going into a painful amount of detail, we do some more jobs for military colonel guy who actually turns out to be quite the nice criminal, and we meet another crime boss who turns out to be quite the mean criminal.
Stupid whore! I'll chop your head off!
During that mean criminal's missions, we also meet up with Will Smith's hair guy a bit and learn his real name is Lance Vance.
Vance? Your name's Lance Vance?
Lance is actually a really great character, and I love the way that he merges with Tommy's personality. Once they start working together, the game starts to feel like a buddy cop film, and it seems like there's nothing that the two can't do together. I don't know about you guys, but I'm kinda sensing a thing going on between Tommy and Lance. Well, you know, a thing.
You're probably gonna want to kiss me.
I mean, Tommy's out here risking his life, stealing tanks, blowing up the poor police with tanks, using a cheat code to spawn in a tank because one of the missions is so dang hard, and it's all for Mr. Lance. Or I guess we can call him Mr. Right. Together, Vice City's most manly couple decide to get rid of the mean old criminal I mentioned earlier and steal his business right out from underneath his nose. Now the proud parents of a new Via, these little lovebirds can finally relax. Until the next mission, of course.
We gotta redecorate this place.
Speaking of that next mission, it seems like Tommy and Lance are going through something of a rough patch. Tommy sounds like he's getting a little too big for his britches, and Lance Vance is feeling left out of the big picture. To save their relationship, Lance and Tommy go out on a mission date to blow up the mall that I did literally more than 10 times because it was impossible to complete without cheating! Barring my better judgment, I decided to turn on some cheats to get through this game that's quite honestly getting on my nerves. I feel like this comedy review has been pretty positive so far, and that's because I really do like the story of Vice City, but see guys, here's the thing. I really hate this game. You see, none of GTA 3's real problems actually got fixed in this game. The aiming still sucks, you still die way too easily, some of the missions are just straight up impossible without cheating, driving motorcycles sucks because you're always getting knocked off of them, friendly NPCs like Vance will stay in exploding cars for no other reason than to kill themselves, and worst of all, the cops force you to give up if they open your car door. Even a lot of the new stuff they added doesn't work well. There are boats and helicopters in the game, but both controlled atrociously and are way more trouble than they're worth. And while all that stuff really is bad, it pales in comparison to the game's worst insult. Anytime you fail a mission without dying, you instead run out of time for example, the game doesn't just spawn you back to the beginning of the mission or at a checkpoint within the mission, it just fails you. You just fail the mission wherever you are and have to make your way back across the entire map just because some timer ran out, or because Vance decided to pull an Obi-Wan Kenobi again. The reason this is so frustrating is because almost every single mission in the game requires that you drive a car for 5 minutes just to get to the destination of the actual mission. Oh, you're meeting up with the Colonel? How about you go to the mall? Oh, you let the guy get away? How about you go back to the Colonel, just so you can go back to the mall, just so you can let the guy get away again, just so that you can go back to the Colonel, just so you can go back to the mall, just so you can let the guy get away again, just so you can go back to the Colonel, just so you can—
Do you understand why I am angry?
Suffice it to say, by the end of this game, I was feeling pretty unhappy and had already cried tears of frustration 3 separate times. So instead of actually beating the game, let's just go watch the ending on someone else's channel, because I just can't take it anymore. I'm going insane, you guys. Cut that last part out, that was dumb. Just as it seems Lance and Tommy's romance is getting back on track, we get a call from our lawyer friend, who tells us to meet with him and Lance at the villa we stole from that mean criminal so long ago. When we get there, we're told that Sonny Forelli, our old boss if you'll recall,
Hello, Sonny.
is back in town. Turns out we never actually got him his money and he's come to collect. But Vance and Tommy aren't willing to give up just yet. They devise a plan to give Sonny counterfeit money instead of real money. Everything is going pretty well until—
I trusted you, Tommy, and you disappointed me. But at least someone in your chicken organization knows how to do business. Isn't that right, Lance?
Lance? No. No, you can't betray us. What about all the time we spent together? What about all those romantic motorcycle rides? Did our time spent stealing cop outfits mean nothing to you? I know what this is. The game must have told you that I cheated on it. Well, so what if I spawned in a few tanks? It was all for you, Lance. It was all for you! Well, Tommy and Lance have one last dance, and then the winner heads downstairs to kill Sonny Forelli and become the greatest crime boss Vice City has ever seen. But, well, what good is becoming a crime boss if you're all alone? Hey, who's that? Oh, it's our lawyer friend. Wait, he's still here? Well, I mean, I guess he has always been there for us. I mean, I guess I never really thought of him like that, you know? Well, I mean, we do know each other quite a bit, and, you know, I feel like I can always count on him, so, you know, maybe letting go of Lance was for the best. Now Tommy can focus on what really always mattered to him. His lawyer friend. The guy that I never even bothered to learn the name of. So, what do I think of these games? Well, every time I finish a game, I try to look back on it and see if there's some lesson I can learn. When I made my Barbie Horse Adventures video, I concluded that sometimes it's okay to play a game that relaxes you and encourages you not to take life so seriously. So what can I learn from Grand Theft Auto 3 and Vice City? I touched on this a little earlier, but the games really frustrated me and got me to cry quite often. It wasn't because I was bad at the game, but it really felt more like the world just wasn't ready for these games. GTA 3 and Vice City are long due for remakes, and they'd benefit greatly from added features like autosave, over-the-shoulder camera angles, the option to restart missions you just failed, and regenerating health. Neither game has any of these things, and they age painfully because of it. More hardcore gamers would probably scoff at me for saying this, but I think what this game taught me is not to play any game if it frustrates me to the point of tears more than once. Video games are supposed to be fun experiences that take us to places we could never dream of being, but if a video game is making you angry because of its outdated controls or its immeasurable difficulty, then there's no reason you can't just turn it off and live a more happy life. I'm not saying that's how you have to play video games, but it's how I'm gonna play them from now on. Well, that's all the time we have for today, guys, but maybe someday we'll play GTA again. There's still 3 more games in the series, so I could always go back and make a video about one of those. But for now, I'm kinda done being a criminal. I'm gonna leave my past behind me. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.
Why are you still here?